Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is go. We'll start with a few definitions, but I want to note this verb also has many meanings. I tried to pick out some of the most common ones, but I want you to know this is not all the definitions of the word go. The first way you might hear go used is to mean to move or proceed, especially to or from something, right? So you might hear someone describe that they're on their way or they're going to the grocery store or going to another location. A second definition is to be in motion, to function or perform as required. And I provided an example here of to go faster. A third meaning is to continue in a certain state or condition. And again, I have another example here. As the weather gets warmer, many people might go barefoot. So they're walking without any shoes or socks on. Fourth meaning for the word go is to result or end. And again, here's another example. How did the game go? So this meaning to result or end would be common in questions when you're asking what the result or end of something is. So you might hear people ask how their day went, which is going to connect down into some of the irregular forms of this verb go. So as I mentioned, this is irregular. So to make the progressive, all we need to do is add ing. But for the past tense of go, we change the verb completely and say went. Went. I like to pronounce that a couple times because I've had students tell me previously that they might confuse this and W-A-N-T or want. So make sure we can hear the difference. Here's the verb, went, the past tense verb, I should say, and then the other word with an A, want. The participle form of go is gone. So you'll hear people say, I have gone, or he has gone. Right. Let's look at some phrasal verbs next. And again, I want to note that there is a very long list of phrasal verbs using go. I've tried to pick out some of the more common ones that maybe you have already heard or that you are more likely to hear. So the first phrasal verb I have is go against. It means to oppose someone or something or be in conflict with. So as you can see in my example sentence, it goes against the company policy. So some sort of action is not appropriate. It's not the right action because it is in conflict with the company policy. The next phrasal verb I have is go ahead with, and it means to move forward or be allowed to continue. Here's an example sentence. Will they go ahead with the meeting? So we're asking, is the meeting going to move forward? Would the meeting be allowed to be continued? The third phrasal verb I have is to go along with, and this means to accept or agree. He went along with your suggestion. So he agreed with it, he accepted it. The next phrasal verb I have is to go away, which means to leave, or to go back, which means return. So we have the example sentence here, he has already gone away. Another way to say that, he's already left. We could also use go back in just the same way. Go out. Very common to hear this, especially on nice spring days, and that's to go outside, to leave. A sentence children might be used to hearing, they went out for recess. All that means is recess was outside. Another phrasal verb you might hear, and it's going to sound similar to the last one, is to go out with. And this is just an informal way to talk about dating or a romantic relationship. So you can see in my example sentence here, they went out with each other for 2 years before they were married. The last phrasal verb I have is to go over, and it can mean to look at or examine. Here's an example of that. We will go over the homework next. And again, that might be a sentence you've heard from other teachers in the past, or maybe you will hear in other classes, but what it means is we're going to review answers, we're going to discuss, look at what you did for homework. Okay, let's do some other practice with go. Today, I thought it would be good to look at modals that we use for permission. And we'll keep using our verb of the day, go, as we talk about permission. And you're going to see I've ordered things a little differently today because it's really most common probably to hear a statement of permission to be a question. And we're going to start on the left side and start with less formal permission. Okay? To make a question with less formal permission, we're going to use the modal can. So we'll have can, then we'll have our subject, and then the base verb. Okay? So you can see I've created the question here, can I go to the party? So many times with permission, these questions might be used from children to parents, from students to teachers, from employees to bosses. Right? So this might be an example of a child to a parent type of question. And you do not have to give long answers to these yes or no questions. So what you might hear as an answer to this question is, yes, you can. Right? So we're going to match our prepositions, we're going to match our subjects. So can I? And so I would answer back, yes, you can. Or someone might just say, sure. Another way to affirmatively say yes would be, of course. Okay? But not every time you ask for permission will the person give the permission. So you just might hear, no, you can't. Or you might hear, sorry, but, and then some sort of explanation or reasoning why permission is not being given. Okay? If you did want to make an informal affirmative statement giving someone permission, you could tell them, you can go to the party. So all we've done is switch the order of our subject and our modal. We can also use a negative form here, so we're not giving someone permission. You can't go to the party. Okay? And it's fine to use cannot as well here. You don't have to use the contraction form, but again, it's something you'll tend to hear from a lot of native English speakers. If you want your permission to be just a bit more formal, what you can do is switch your modal to could. This is considered to be just a little more formal. So here I have another example of a question. Could he go to the park? So notice my modal and the verb is not changing based on the subject. So if I want to say yes, you're going to see in the answer, I still use can. So yes, he can. Another way I could say yes, in addition to the other examples of sure and of course, would be go ahead. Or, again, we can say no to this type of question. So, again, if you want to say no, he can't, go to the park. We're using can't, not could in our answer. You could also say sorry again and provide some sort of reason why permission is not being given. Finally, let's look at formal permission. So people tend to use this maybe I would say in more formal situations. So maybe you don't know the person very well. It could be based on your working relationship. Some people don't know their bosses very well, so they remain pretty formal with the boss. Some people try and teach their children this form just so that they err to the more polite side. So the most formal way to ask for permission is to use the modal may. And we have an example here. May we go to the movies, right? And when you answer that, you can use may in your answer. So you could respond, yes, you may. You could say, sure, of course, go ahead. Or if you do not want to give permission, you would say, no, you may not. Or you could say, sorry, but. And I have some other examples of affirmative and negative statements using the more formal permission. So you may go to the movies, or they may not go to the movies. Just different ways to say this. And I want to point out, whether you're using less for more formal permission or the most formal permission, you can always add the word please to try and make this a little more kind or polite. So there are two places where you could insert the word please. The first and maybe easiest way to remember is at the end, right? So I can look at my other examples we've had here. Can I go to the party, please? Could he go to the park, please? May we go to the movies, please? Okay. The other place you could insert please is right before the base verb. So, as examples, can I please go to the party? Could he please go to the park? May we please go to the movies? So that's also a nice little tip. If you're ever worried about being polite, including the word please is a nice way to do it. Finally, today, let's look at a few words that are related to this verb of go. The first is a word you should recognize. It's gone. And you might remember I told you that it was the participle form. So has gone, have gone. But gone could also be an adjective. And its meaning could be that something is no longer present, no longer in existence, or no longer available. I'll give you a couple examples of these meanings. The first, if somebody asked, is so-and-so, a certain person, is he home, right? No, he's gone, right? So he's just implying no longer present in the home. The cookies are gone. Maybe this is something you exclaim when you walk in the kitchen, hoping to get a snack, but the cookies are no longer available or no longer in existence. Another related phrase to go is a noun, go-getter. And this is a person who works very hard to be successful. Many times they're considered to be energetic, and many times this noun phrase is used as a compliment. If you're being described as a go-getter, it's usually has a really positive meaning in one's mind. So, in an example sentence, our new employee is really a go-getter. Look at all she has accomplished in a month. Finally, I want to give you another informal phrase that I sometimes hear at work, and that's go ahead. You might remember go ahead was a phrasal verb, and the meaning here they're connected, they're pretty similar. Go ahead as a noun is really just permission to proceed. So if we look at our example sentence, Let's wait until we have the go-ahead from our boss. So another way to say this sentence would be, let's wait until we have permission to proceed from our boss. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this additional practice with the verb go will be useful to your reading, writing, speaking, and listening skills. Have a great day.